Hello. Hey, it is I, Hannah Ruhamah, the Kombucha Mamma. She called me into her service. I am so excited. Today is World Kombucha Day, the day we celebrate all around the world the beauty of this culture, the beauty of this symbiosis. Like our mother culture, we must learn to live an interconnected life. Individuals creating community, throwing out our nanofibers of bacterial cellulose, connecting with everyone so we create a strong and resilient community. World Kombucha Day. How are you going to celebrate? I have here with me some delicious booch. It is so refreshing. Hi, welcome, Vic. Bow, 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 bow. Excited to see you here. How are you celebrating World Kombucha Day? What's your fave? What's your brand? What's your jam? You make your own, man? Woo! Celebrate, celebrate. Dance to the drums, dance to the drums. Kombucha, she is our mother culture. Living in symbiosis, that's what we want to do. Modeling the perfection of that symbiosis. It's still wild, just like you, just like me, just like everybody and the planet Earth. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2024's World Kombucha Day celebration. It is I, Hannah Ruhamah, the Kombucha Mamma, mother to millions of bacteria around the world, some of which might be residing inside of you or at least in your homes. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. Alex and I co-wrote the Big Book of Kombucha. We're so honored to have sold 400,000 copies, to have it translated in 6 languages, for all of you to call it your Kombucha Bible. It truly means so much. And we are so incredibly grateful that Kombucha chose us, that she chose me. And I truly believe, I truly feel, I truly sense that I am her high priestess, having enshrined her fermentation in the Kombucha Code of Practice, being the connector between the home brewers and the commercial producers, because here's something I know. There's a kombucha for everyone. And that means there's a kombucha for you too. So even if you've tried kombucha and thought, maybe this isn't for me, like all of the finer things in life, cigars, coffee, cognac, kombucha, these are all things that on the first sip, first toke might not have been delicious. And yet we know that their sophisticated flavors are something that grows on us over time. So I'm so grateful. We have an amazing program for you here today. Hopefully there's still time to enter the giveaways. Go to kombuchacamp.com/world-kombucha-day. The link is in our profile. Go there, sign up on our list. That's an entry. You can also on Instagram find all of the places, the different posts we have. We did a whole 7 days of different prizes we're giving away. And tonight it closes. Tonight we will be drawing those winners and announcing them tomorrow. Today is also the last day of our World Kombucha Day sale at Kombucha Camp. So if you've been wanting to get that continuous brewer, you've been wanting to get started, you want to reconnect with an old friend, and maybe it's not even kombucha, maybe it's water kefir or milk kefir or Jun, kombucha's raw honey cousin. No matter which culture speaks to you, they are all on sale for 21% off to celebrate World Kombucha Day 2021. We will talk about why that is our magical date, and you'll hear about it in some of the different interviews we have for you all day. Some of them are going to be live. Some of them we pre-recorded. But suffice to say, stay tuned here because this is going to be an exciting day of connecting with commercial producers, with luminaries in the fermentation industry, with really the people who have helped move fermentation to the forefront, to the top of people's minds. And it needs to be there because gut health, because this is the first brain. I get it. We're used to thinking of this as the brain and this is the gut. The reality is this has to be in order for this to function. So much of the dopamine, serotonin, your feel-good drugs, if you will, are generated by the microbes in your gut through that digestive process, through converting all of the inputs you put into your body. Those things are then transformed into mental health, physical health, emotional health. So kombucha is something that really works on all the different levels of our physical system. And again, we're consuming something that has already learned how to be in symbiosis, how to be in a healthy relationship. So when we cultivate our kombucha, it certainly can get out of balance if we're not following the basic structures of how kombucha functions. That said, she also is this template of a culture that we can intake into our bodies. We can take that information, we can take that knowledge and literally use it in so many different ways. So I'm excited. We're about to introduce Laurent Coullombe-Labarth from Karma Kombucha. They are the dominant brand in France. They are the pioneers in France. And I'm excited to hear Laurent's story. And I'm looking forward to him sharing that with us. Of course, since he is coming in from France, it's going to be, I'm just going to reach out and make sure he's on his way. I'm part German, and the German in me is like, let's start on time. Actually, I started a little early because I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be here today. Okay, here we go. He needs the link. Invite, copy. There we go. All right, so Laurent will be joining us shortly, and he will tell us all about Karma Kombucha. I had the distinct pleasure of traveling to Erquy many years ago and visiting their facility as they were growing it, and it's really fantastic. What I love about Laurent is the thought process, the care, the love that really goes into what they're creating, because they not only do kombucha, they also have water kefir. They also are doing probiotic yogurts and different things like that. All right, here we go. Bonjour.
Hello, Anna. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? I just sent you the link. So check your email.
Oh, you sent me the link. All right.
Yes.
Let me see if I got that. No.
I just replied to the email you sent me, so it might take a second to arrive. And I also updated the calendar invite with the correct link. So I don't know if you have access to that as well.
Okay, cool. I got the link.
Awesome. I'll see you soon.
Right. Okay, see you then.
Okay, ciao. Wonderful. So Laurent is about to make his appearance, right? This is the joy of live, because you never know what's going to happen. We're just in the moment, staying present with our kombucha. So what flavor are you drinking today? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. Tell me your brand, tell me your flavor, and tell me if you're making it at home or not. That's what we really want to know. So share with us where you hail from, what your fave flav is, hashtag fave flav, and what's your favorite brand? Because, I still have favorite brands of kombucha. In fact, whenever I travel, I love to try the local kombuchas because everyone has this unique interpretation for the product. Okay, wonderful. Laurent is here. Here we go. Let's welcome him to the stage. Bienvenue, Laurent.
Hello, Anna.
It is such a delight to see you here on World Kombucha Day. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien, merci. C'est vrai que tu parles bien français.
Oui, un petit peu, mais il faut beaucoup des années que je l'ai étudié. J'espère que mon accent, ce n'est pas trop heureuse.
Ton accent, c'est parfait.
Ah!
Parfait. On va practice. We'll practice together at Expo.
That sounds great. Yes, I'm excited to see you at Expo West. Well, welcome here, World Kombucha Day 2024. We are live streaming across multiple platforms. And tell us a little bit about your story for Karma Kombucha. Why did you start the first kombucha brand in France?
Well, because I lived in the US before. And in 2006, when my wife was pregnant with our first kid, we got into kombucha, and she started drinking kombucha instead of apricot juice and coffee. And that's how we got acclimated to it. It took me a while to like it. The first trial didn't agree with me. I ended up buying a GT Gingerade, I think it was, a trilogy, and that's the ones that made me switch. And from that moment on, we started drinking kombucha. And when we got back to France a few years later, we decided that it was too sad that there was no kombucha, not only in France, but in Europe. At the time, there was only companies that were selling ambient kombucha, like mostly kombucha vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
And we started at the same time with another company in the UK, but we're only two companies at the time. And now we sell across 15 countries in Europe.
Wow.
This nice little Karma kombucha.
Yes.
And we have a large facility where we produce everything. And we're organic, we're fair trade, and we're Demeter, the only Demeter which is biodynamic kombucha certified in Europe. And that's it.
No, that's really special. I mean, I love how kombucha found you. It sounds like you were here in California, I think. You were a surfer dude. And I love that it was able to replace your wife's coffee while she was pregnant. Because some people ask this, can I drink kombucha while I'm pregnant? And clearly, for some people, like your wife, that is completely possible. In fact, I say trust your gut, which is you have to listen to your body. Some women I know. And what's your experience about this? Do you find everyone who's pregnant can have kombucha, or only some people? What do you hear from your customers?
Well, I tend not to become a doctor while I'm not. So honestly, I'm trying to avoid the subject most of the time. But to my close friends and to my sisters, I encourage them to drink kombucha, and they do drink kombucha a lot.
Yes.
After, in France, having a little bit of alcohol is part of the schematic. So
well, it's medicinal, right? Like, and I think we forget that in all of this sort of alcohol bashing, that it's so interesting that we're doing self-imposed prohibition 100 years later here in the US, right? 100 years ago, we changed our constitution to literally say no alcohol. And now we find the younger generation is choosing not to imbibe. And this is wonderful for kombucha, because not only are we a wonderful cocktail mixer, and we also can serve that non-alcoholic set. So, and there is a medicinal aspect to the alcohol in kombucha. That is my very firm belief. But let's talk more about Karma. So let me ask you this: what's your kombucha crush? Which flavor of your kombucha is the one you almost always reach for when you're feeling thirsty? I know it's hard to pick favorites because I'm sure you love them all.
I'm very basic. I go to ginger, and especially I've been since in the US, my previous job was sourcing in fair trade co-ops, so I was lucky enough to travel across 50 countries in the world. Literally, most of my travels now are about sourcing the ingredients. So I'm flying off in a few months to Paraguay and Peru to visit my sugar manufacturers, my ginger producer co-ops. And I was in India last month to buy some mango juice. So ginger is now, we buy it from Peru. We've bought it from Peru for a long time. We fresh press it ourselves, still with our volumes. And so, it goes super well with kombucha.
And then what do you do?
My new favorite is a new recipe that we're about to launch. No, I'm not even supposed to talk about it, but it's going to be a tangerine kombucha. So I really like that.
Well, and it's funny because I think some people might think, well, citrus is sour and I'm putting it in this sour beverage. That must not go well. And in fact, I love a grapefruit kombucha, a tangerine kombucha. I feel like the citrus actually goes really well with kombucha. It's quite tasty.
Yeah, and we're trying to play with brewing IPA kombucha,
Ooh.
but we're not there yet. We have to find the right dosage, the right plants. I mean, everything is to be finalized, but that's very promising as well.
And so will that be a hard kombucha, like a higher alcohol, or it'll be a non-alcoholic with
No,
an IPA
there was a
flavor?
lot of discussion, but we're a fully horizontal company, and we have 10 people that decide unanimously of everything. And there was 2% out of 8 that decide that Karma is a brand that will not sell alcohol.
Okay.
So we will not do hard kombucha. I was mostly in favor for it. I'm in the US every year, as you know, and I keep discovering hard kombucha. I really love it. Plus, I own a bar called the Karma Cafe.
Oh, yep, right. Is it on?
Yeah.
It's on site at your facility?
No, it's on the harbor of the city. So
Okay.
it's a summer bar, but we're opening 2 new ones and it's going well. And we sell a lot of low alcohol beer. It's actually a big trend now. And hard kombucha would be perfect, but we don't make one. So maybe I'll make a micro brew.
Yes, of course. Well, and as Fermenters Club, hey, Austin, is chiming in, playing with hops and kombuchas. Really quite tasty. And in fact, it's such a popular flavor profile. It's one of the categories of the kombucha cup. So we know that hops and kombucha actually has, again, it's that bitter and sour makes a really delicious flavor, surprisingly.
Yep.
So I don't know if hops is how you're getting your raspy flavor profile for your IPA, but it is wonderful. So if people wanted to visit Karma Cafe, is there a website or where should they go to find you?
I'm the worst person because I don't have any tools for social media, but I know on Instagram it exists. Yeah, it's Karma Cafe with a K for cafe.
Okay,
And
I'm
it's
into
in
that.
the lovely city of Erquy, Erquy,
In Bretagne.
in Bretagne. But you've been there.
I have. And I was remarking on how much I absolutely adored visiting there. You know, I have Celtic roots and I really felt a kinship with the land. And we went to that amazing, was it a pub or something?
It was a wine bar. Yeah, we spent a great amount of time there. It was fun.
That was the wine bar. But I feel like for lunch, we went to this really cool stone building and you showed me they used to sleep in closets. Like it was really cool. I really enjoyed my visit there. And I love seeing how everything is still of the land, made from stone, incredibly beautiful. If you get a chance to go to Bretagne, you must go to Erquy because the coquilles Saint-Jacques are amazing there, also very famous. So highly recommend. Highly recommend.
And even if we are very isolated, as you can see behind me, I have one of the
I was going to ask you about your kombucha museum here.
Of kombucha bottles.
Yes. I love this. This becomes kind of a staple for those of us who are real like fans of kombucha. We just end up accumulating so many bottles and creating our own museums.
So many. But a small story. I was last week in Biofach in Germany at one of the largest organic show. And a guy called me from the alley and he was from Japan. And he actually reminded me that I recognize him and I visited his facility in Tokyo in 2017.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and he was exhibiting in Biofar and we caught up. I hadn't seen him in like 7 years.
Kombucha?
I'm sorry?
Was it Ship Kombucha?
It was Ship Kombucha, yeah.
Yes. Oizimi's been, and I might have said his name wrong, but he has been a regular attender of Kombucha Con. He's passionate about kombucha. His posts are always about, and he's an award-winning kombucha too. They won at Kombucha Cup. So hopefully Karma will be entering so we can award you a Kombucha Cup as well.
Let me make sure it's him because it's Ship Kombucha, yeah.
Yeah, Ship Kombucha. Exactly. Yes, that's him. Wonderful. And I love that our family, right? Because we have Kombucha Con, because we have these opportunities, Expo West, BioFoc, there are all these different shows where kombucha producers will gather. We have this opportunity to network, to learn from each other. So tell us about your trips to the United States. So you're coming back for Expo West. What do you hope to do there?
Yeah, and actually I'm going to take advantage of this video to put an ad because I used to exchange a lot with Ed from High Country Kombucha. He came and visited in Erquy.
Of course.
There was quite a few exchange with a few manufacturers that came to our facility and I came visit theirs. and it's been too long that I haven't visited a kombucha facility. So I'm coming to Expo from the 12th to the end of the weekend after that, so the 19th. And I'm gonna spend just 2 days at Expo, so I'd be happy to meet kombucha brewers at Expo. But I'd love to visit a few facilities anywhere in California. Unfortunately, I took my ticket before you announced the show in San Diego, so I'm arriving the day of this show. It's too late, but I'd be very happy to visit any facility and to say hi and to not feel alone in my kombucha facility remote in France.
Yes, I love that. And I was just looking up that date. Thanks for reminding me. Yes, we are gathering in San Diego at Local Roots Kombucha. Local Roots, they're on our board of directors at KBI. They are in Vista, California, which is just north of San Diego. We are going to be setting up bus transportation. So any kombucha producers who are coming to Expo West who want to attend, go check out kombuchacon.com, and you will find all the information you need, tickets and whatnot. So thanks for reminding me about that wonderful event. And yes, the invitation. Well, you know what's great is like San Diego has a ton of tap rooms. So there's a lot of places, but you're right. There's some smaller places and some larger places throughout the Los Angeles area. And in fact, Southern California is still, I would say, the kombucha capital of the world, with GTs, with Health Aid, with all the little local small producers, plus the hard kombucha producers. More kombucha is made in Southern California than anywhere in the world. So absolutely excited to give you a Globisu in person. But was there anything else you wanted to share? Because you do more than kombucha. You have ucha. What are some of the other wonderful products that you're making?
Yeah, we do. I'm going to give you a little tour, but we do basically kombucha, so the brand Karma, and we have launched successfully a brand called Ucha in supermarkets. And
Nice.
we have been doing water kefir for a very long time. Since 2011, we've been doing water kefir. So that's our Ucha water kefir. We are the oldest water kefir brand in Europe.
Like that kefir.
And then we have another facility where we do non-dairy yogurts, as you can see.
Yeah.
But only with fermentation. So we're one of the only brand where we managed to make a coconut yogurt with 2 ingredients only: the coconut milk and the selected ferment. And thanks to fermentation, we get the texture, the acidity, and everything. And we have some lassi.
Right,
also,
delicious.
we have some ice cream that's fermented, so we don't pasteurize it, so that you get good thing for your stomach. And we have a brand of kimchi, but it's not in the same meeting room, so I can't show it to you. But that's actually my favorite fermented food.
Into vegetable ferments as well.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of kimchis and carrots and stuff like that. It's not a big seller for us, but it's something we all love here and we consume on a regular basis. So we love
and you're
that.
reminding me that like kombucha is a portal, right? Some people think, oh, kombucha and that's it. No, kombucha is a portal. She opens you up to the water kefir, the non-dairy yogurts, the kimchis, the sauerkraut.
And I forgot the ginger beer. We're the largest producer of real fermented ginger beer, non-alcoholic. We have a spicy one. We have a red one. We just launched, which one is the new energy one? So ginger beer is very fun as well on fermentation.
Yes.
And it's an upscale. It's a really basically the ginger we fresh pressed. We use the grinded ginger to launch a new fermentation with adding sugar and water. So it's really.
So wait, this is the off. Like you've already juiced it for the kombucha, and now you're using what's left over.
Yeah.
I love that. I was going to ask you that earlier. What are you doing with your byproducts, with your tea and your scobies? Is this something you're able to compost? Do you dispose of it in some way? Are you able to upcycle it? So
we upcycle the ginger for sure, and the rest it goes to God, I don't have the name in English. A compost with ver de terre.
Ver de terre.
Worms.
Yes.
Worms?
Yes, by like geothermal.
Yeah, so we have
it's a reactor, right?
Farmer right next door, and he's using it, and it's super efficient. He's using all our compost, so it goes straight to the farm, literally 100 yards from our facility.
That's wonderful. And I think Karma, and I don't know if this is still true, but you also have a history of employing folks who maybe wouldn't have jobs elsewhere. Is that a program you're still executing?
Yeah, we've even enriched that. So we have basically about 30% of our of people who are in the facility at the production and bottling lines that are disabled people, and some of them have been coming to the facility for more than 12 years now. So we have a very long history, and most recently we've started working with ex-convict, and it's a fantastic experience as well. So yeah, we like to embrace all of that, and we still have. I mean, it's raining outside, but we have a volleyball court. We have some palm trees because I needed to remind me of California. So even if they suffer in winter, we have beautiful palm trees, and we have a Mongolian yurt to do our daily, for some people, or our weekly yoga with
Nice.
Lily, my wife, who started the company with me. So we try to live like in California.
But I love it. You're bringing the good karma to so many people, right?
Yeah, we enjoy what we do.
Well, we're really
And I'd be
excited.
very happy to come to Los Angeles to resource and to meet people that are doing the same thing and to get more energy out of it.
And hugs.
And hugs.
Yes, of course.
And hugs.
Well, karma, good karma is what you're all about. I love the way you're organic, you're committed, you're fair trade, you're Demeter certified, you're working with otherly abled people, with ex-convicts, you're providing health benefits through yoga and other volleyball and great things. You're really an inspiration in the kombucha world. Everybody needs to go visit Karma, follow them, follow Ucha, and we're giving away some of your kombucha. So if you live in France, join our giveaway. We want you to try their wonderful products. And thank you so much, Laurent. Merci pour tous.
Thank you, Anna. Merci. See you at Expo soon.
Yes. Ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Woo! That was so much fun. Laurent. One of my old buddies. You know, Alex and I first founded Kombucha Brewers International in 2014. And Laurent was one of the founding members. So we have been friends for a really long time. And that's been really wonderful. And now I'm really excited to welcome another friend to the stage. He is a more recent friend and has an amazing book called Tickled. And everybody should go and read this book or get the audiobook. I listened to the audiobook while I was driving, and it was so inspirational to me because he shares a story of transformation. He shares a story that, like fermentation, happens when you're put into interesting circumstances and then something else comes out of you. And now he's become his own master brewer. Let's welcome to the stage, Duff McDonald.
What's up, Hannah?
Hey, happy World Kombucha Day.
Happy World Kombucha Day. Very exciting.
It is exciting. Tell us a little bit about your story. What's your first sip? Tell us your first time meeting kombucha story.
So I think it was 2016, might have been 2017. I'm at the age where fine divisions of years get a little blurry these days. But I was out in Rockaway Beach in New York City and staying during the summer at a hostel that my girlfriend at the time was running. And one of her friends from California was in town. And he refused to shop at the local grocery. He would only go to the Whole Foods. So he didn't have a car, so he would bike to the Whole Foods. And he came back one day with these two sort of satchels on the edge of his bike and all sorts of clinking. And he pulled out a couple of bottles of GTs. And I'd never even seen it before. I'm standing in the kitchen. I was like, what is that? And he goes, here, try it. And gave me a Gingerade. And just like you, and just like other people, all around the world, the first sip, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the answer. And over the course of that summer, I got up to, I was buying probably 4 or 5 GTs a day. And, that was when they were still maybe $5, $6, depending on where you got them. Mm-hmm. So, I had quit drinking and had been, looking for the alternative to alcohol for years. And I found it. But then suddenly I'm like, but wait, this is as expensive as an alcohol problem. And that summer we were out in California, and I went to the store and brought some back, and a guy said, you know, I can't afford to buy that many bottles of kombucha at a time. And it hit me at that moment. I was like, wait, can I afford to buy this many bottles of kombucha? And that's when I started brewing. But basically, GT's ginger ale, you know, broke the seal for me, and had never tasted anything like it. And, you know, ever since, I'm now, you know, you guys and the health conscious people will recommend a sort of moderating kombucha intake, at least at first. But like, I'm so far past that. I am an all-day drinker.
Yes. Cheers. What flavor is this you're quaffing?
I think it's blackberry. This is from we actually have my wife got a kegerator for me for my 50th birthday. So we have 2 kegs on tap always, and I generally forget what's in it. We used to be really judicious about labeling it and stuff, but with just us here, I don't really care what flavor it is.
Just drink it.
I'm going to drink it anyway, but it looks like blackberry to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so this is what I call when your thirst outgrows your budget. That's usually when you come looking for kombucha camp with a K, because we're cute and clever over here. Got all the kombucha stuff. But that's what happened to me too. I drank my first ginger ale. The heavens opened up. I was sad, standard American diet, not getting any fermented foods, not getting any enzymes in a living form. And my body was just like, yes, this is exactly what I need. And like you, and I think you're right. I think in the beginning, a lot of times, because there's a nutritional deficiency, you just want all the kombucha. It really fills you up in a positive way. And as long as you have bowel tolerance, meaning you're not in the bathroom excessively, then go ahead and drink as much as you like. And then, at least for me, I've kind of ebbed and flowed. Sometimes I'm more maintenance. Other times I'm just snarfing down as much as I can. So it really varies. But for me, I have a fave. And my fave, my ride or die, Love Potion 99.
You know, we haven't made that yet. I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed to admit that. Although one we did make the other day, I got from a friend of mine, and I think he may have gotten it from you. Pepperberry.
Ooh, what kind of peppers?
No, ground pepper, like peppercorn.
Oh, okay, yeah, black pepper. Mm-hmm. Yum.
So black pepper, blackberry, and maybe raspberry. So 2 berries in it with peppercorns, and that was really good.
That sounds really great. And that's what I love about kombucha. She's like a blank canvas, which I think is what you allude to. So I need to let the dog in, but will you tell people a little bit more about who you are? You're a writer, and before you fell in love with kombucha, you used to write about totally different subjects. Right back.
So I am a writer. I was a business journalist for most of my career, writing for magazines, and ultimately wrote a few business books. The last pure business book I wrote was a history of the Harvard Business School. So I was knee deep in business stuff. And then during quarantine, I was already deep into my kombucha addiction. And there was a guy, there was a kombucha store up here. I live outside Woodstock, started by the founders of Brooklyn Kombucha.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had stuff on tap. So I went first to bulk on tap, and then the guy there convinced me to start making my own. And I think we started making it in 2019, like early 2019. And so quarantine comes around and everything gets quiet. It's just me, my wife, and the kombucha. And the next thing I know, I'm not only enjoying the kombucha just for what it is and the infinite flavors and everything, but I sort of started having realizations where I'm like, oh wait, this is way bigger than both of us. This is profound what this stuff is. And started sort of like, I guess kombucha became a prism through which I began to see a beautiful universe. So as the world was in a panic mode, now granted, I have the good fortune and gratitude to have a house in the woods here. So I wasn't in a city. We weren't afraid of COVID because we were just at home getting everything delivered by Amazon. So fortunate to have that. But while the world's panicking, I was going the other direction. And with the help of kombucha for sure, because it was sort of a vehicle into which I was placing these new thoughts I was having. Historically as a business writer, I was like, let's count everything and criticize everyone. And I sort of worked myself into a place that I wasn't even aware of. And then once quarantine hit, suddenly I'm looking through the kombucha. I'm like, hold on a second, everything's actually perfect. And I've been looking at the world the wrong way. And one of the things, and we've talked about this before, is, my old friend Matt argues, he says, you're being fast and loose with the word infinite. But I was like, wait, kombucha can have infinite flavors, right? It's arguably it's infinite as you need it to be to have the word be appropriate. And so I suddenly started seeing through kombucha possibility, meaning anything can happen, right? It can be any flavor you want.
Yes.
And that started sort of bleeding into my own life, where I was like, wait a second, anything can happen. Everything is awesome. It's not as limiting or as narrow or as certain as I thought it was. And the result of that whole, like, it all hit me like a anvil on the head in April and May of 2020. And the result was over the course of 6 weeks, I wrote this.
Wow.
And it was basically a wholesale replacement of the way I experienced my own existence. And the crazy part was it sort of but it came unsought after. I wasn't looking to renovate my worldview. Right. It just happened.
Well, and this is what I say, when you're drinking the symbiosis of organisms that aren't even from the same family on the family tree of life, yet they've come together and they figured out how to collaborate to create an ecological system where they have healthy boundaries. They prevent pathogens. They have many different ways, right? The pellicle itself, the way that it grows across the top, is a physical barrier. And then, of course, the acidity that's created through the fermentation process, along with the types of acids, because of the tea, because of the sugar, it literally creates this environment of, a positive, healthy, vibrant, dynamic community, because there can be many types of organisms living within that system. However, the dominant gatekeepers, if you will, are there making sure that everything's in proper balance. And so I feel like when we consume the byproduct of that, right, we're bacterial sapiens. This is how I think of us, because bacteria are involved in every aspect of our physiological and emotional existence, because they are the ones creating the happy drugs in our brains and things like this. And so when we engage in this microscopic relationship with these unseen beings, I feel like that's what magic is, right? Like, what is magic? A magic trick is a trick where you cannot see how the magician has executed this amazing feat. And I feel like because microbes are microscopic, they are magic.
And you could even put it a little more prosaically, which is, if you consume harmony, it will edge you towards harmony yourself. I was reading something the other day where someone, a Vedantic sage, his name's Swami Vivekananda, and he was talking about eating meat. And he's like, the reason the Western nations were so war happy is that they consumed more meat and became the blood made them aggressive. He's like, if you look at the Hindus in India, which is largely vegetarian, they're one of the only countries, like like long-running nations, that never went out and tried to conquer anyone. And so it hit me. It's like, oh, it's the food you eat. We are the food we eat, right? There's this notion of the food body, which is your body is basically your last 50 meals or whatever it is, right?
Right.
Because where do you think it comes from?
Mhm.
And so back to kombucha, it's like it is a harmonious beverage. And to me now at this point, if you'd asked me this 5 years ago, I would have said this is nonsense. But today it's like, yes, the consumption of something that is a profound harmony cannot help but lead to that for yourself. And for me at least, and you talk about this in your book, where you say there's a dividing line for the kombucha drinker. And for me, it's like once that happened, then harmony started appearing elsewhere, right? So, what is the cause of what? We don't need to get into that, but basically, the appearance of harmony, if protected and cared for, right, can only lead to more harmony. And so I credit kombucha for changing my whole life.
Well, and I think it does because you're talking about experience. And I hear you, right? Like scientific method, and I'm going to call it that because it's a method. It's not a religion. Scientific method is a tool to uncover the mechanisms of why a phenomena that already exists happens, right?
Right.
And so the phenomena that kombucha, which has been called the tea of immortality, the tea of long life, Gichtkovala, which is one of my favorite German terms, gout jellyfish, right? Like the reason it has these names is because many people living different lives, different types of food, different types of jobs, all experience the benefit when they started consuming kombucha. So we could attribute that to a placebo effect, but truly, as you and I both know, because we experience it physiologically, it's deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I agree. I of course I'm going to agree because I love kombucha and and you to me are the kombucha philosopher, Duff. So I love that you get to blend together all this wisdom you have along with the kombucha because you write about it in such an elegant, eloquent way. And it really does speak to that. Why are we here as human beings on this planet? And of course we're here because just like most things on this planet, we are here to cooperate. We are here to collaborate. And again, Darwin's theory is a theory and it emphasizes competition, but the vast majority of the plants, the birds, the animals, the humans, right? We're all here in collaboration and cooperation. And as this, intense political season continues to heat up and more division is sowed, I think kombucha is the rebel's drink. This is where you go to find community. This is where you go to reconnect with other people. And again, I have no idea what people's beliefs or thoughts or how it's going to drive their actions. But to your point, I believe if they're drinking harmony and creating peace in their own life, they're going to want to create that with the others in their life. They're going to want to create that community that is based in a desire for everybody to thrive.
The idea that that there's something for you're talking about the what is the point of humanity? What are we supposed to do here?
Right.
And a Western mindset wants us to believe that there's a job for you to do, right? You have a mission or a goal, and of course we can take on, the like you as the proselytizer of kombucha around the world, but like a Western mindset says you have a job to do. An Eastern one says you have to realize what you are, right? And realize the inherent divinity within you. So the reason Darwinism stresses competition is because it wants us to think that we have to go out and get a thing done and, outdo the guy next to us. Whereas if you go the other way, it's like what your goal here is to realize that you are divine. Right? And what is divinity? Divinity is ultimate and total harmony, right? The unity of all things. So kombucha to me, same point. And I mentioned this, thank you for your kind words. But the last piece, my audible piece called Kombucha Curious, the point I'm trying to make in there is it's not just something that you consume, for your liquid health needs. It is an example, as you just said, of profound harmony and unity. And if you can just and sort of meditate on that, and that's what happened to me. It's like I was like, wait a second, this is more than I even came close to thinking when I first started making it. When I first started making it, I was like, great flavors, good for you, cheap, right? I'm not buying 5 GTs a day. So I had these, I was like, why should I make it? Availability, flavors of my choice, and economics. All 3 of which are completely legit, right? But once I started actually making it, I was like, oh, wait, no. The reasons to do it are way more important than that. Sharing it with your friends, spending your time sitting in a place of possibility, right? What are we going to do next? Figuring out how to, as you say, I love this line of yours, which is it's a cross between a pet and a plant, right? It's a living thing in your house that needs your attention. You cannot forget about it. It's much easier than having a dog, right? We have cats here. We love cats because they're so easy too. But the SCOBY is.
You also have chickens.
We have Joey. Joey has the chickens, right?
Okay.
So, but the benefits of making kombucha are far more interesting than the 3 that I scoped out at the beginning. I'll save money. I'll have it all the time, and I can have whatever flavor I want. It's like no. Those are like the ones for the person who's not really thinking it through. Once you start get into it, and then suddenly start opening up a world in which people like you were in. We talked to, I don't know if you saw the podcast where we talked to Wayne from your kombucha in Malta. So now I got a buddy in Malta.
Yeah, right.
My wife made, you've seen this, Joey made these labels for us. That's a photo from our property. It's called Rockledge Rasa. So people are like, do you sell it? This one's elderberry lemon ginger. That's a good flavor. I'm afraid to open it though, because the latest batches have been a little explosive. So people have asked if I would ever make it professionally. And my answer to that is sort of twofold. No, I have a job that is quite it brings me joy and pays the bills. I don't need to start a business project. But the main thing is we just give it away. And like I have, as you know, as anyone who makes it at home knows, once you get your operation up and going, your per ounce cost of making kombucha is minimal. My only expense of note is the bottles, because we give them all away, and I'd sort of beg people to give them back to me, but we keep buying new cases of bottles.
Right.
But to me, it was an avenue. Anyone can find their way to their own divinity through, infinite number of paths, right? What do they say? There's as many paths to God.
Right.
But mine kombucha was on the road. Like I picked up a bottle of it and suddenly I'm walking down a different road. And it's like, where am I? And call it mystical, call it what you want. As you say, it's like it played a definitive role in changing the way I viewed my own existence, right? A drink. And the only other drinks that ever did that were alcohol, and they sent me in the other direction.
Yes.
Right?
On the path of destruction as opposed to the path of life. This is what now colors your work. And that's what I love. And so you mentioned the audible piece. Let's call it out again. Kombucha tickled.
Curious. Kombucha curious.
Of course, kombucha curious. One of my favorite phrases. And then tickled is amazing. And where else can people find your work online?
I've got a website. It's called theduffproject.com. THE Duff, DUFF project.com. We're we're on Instagram with the podcast I do with my wife Joey called How to Tickle Yourself.
Yes.
And those are all over the streaming platforms. We've decreased our pace a little bit. We were doing one a week for a couple of years, and it just got to be
It's a lot
too
of
much by
content
the
to
end.
turn out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. So, but we're still doing that. The last one was Wayne from Your Kombucha. So you can find us there too. But you know, I have a couple other books, but at this point, the only ones I'd really recommend are Tickled or Frictionless, which I wrote with my friend Christiane Lemieux, which was it's sort of looking back at it. I was moving towards where, you know, everyone's moving wherever their direction they're headed. But Frictionless was, when we started writing it, Christiane said to me, she goes, here's the thing. We're going to be, in this book, we're going to be nice to people. She goes, you can't be the Duff McDonald. Yeah.
Are we hearing the former Duff?
Yeah. So I was like, what? We have to be nice to people. So she also played a large role in sort of pulling me out of a combative stance in my writing, which had, you know, it had helped my career, but, you know, looking back at it, it hadn't helped my soul. And so Frictionless it's sort of an entrepreneurship book. It's about a bunch of startup people and stuff. But essentially we're talking about people doing amazing things, trying to either create frictionless products, live a frictionless life, you know, try to be in the flow basically. And that led to Tickled. So in short answer to your question is theduffproject.com. And you can find Tickled on Amazon and How to Tickle Yourself wherever you listen to podcasts.
And then what's your Instagram handle? Is it the Duff Project or Duff McDonald?
No, it's Duff McDonald.
No A. It's not MacDonald.
No, McDonald. Yeah.
Well, and I love that you're not wanting to do it commercially, because I think sometimes people feel pulled in that direction, not realizing that, you know, it's a labor of love, emphasis on the labor. And of course, you've talked to many kombucha producers now, and you understand it's an intense proposition. Our friend Adam at Laughing Gut, who's in your neighborhood, and
yeah, we love Adam. We see him at the Kingston Farmers Market all the time. Laughing Gut is, as far as commercial kombuchas go, like, I haven't tried them all, but I've tried a lot. He makes a really good kombucha. So if anyone in the New York or tri-state area, if you see Laughing Gut, give it a try. They're delicious.
And this is what I always say, try the local brands. Yes, we're fortunate here in the US. We have a wonderful Pioneer GT who makes an amazing, delicious product. You can get it almost anywhere. He's committed to raw and unpasteurized. And that's, you know, he has gone up against people who don't understand kombucha and try to make you pasteurize it and things like that. And go to the local farmers market, go to the local co-op, find the small brands, because those are people who are really small batch, passionate entrepreneurs. They're often using products that are local to the region and making things in season. Now I have to ask you, what's your kombucha crush? I know you're drinking the black raspberry right now, but what's your absolute most fave of all time?
Of our own or
Any.
commercial? So I'm going to say
give me both, your own and then commercial.
So my wife Joey is basically a farmer and a gardener, and you know, a year into starting to make it, it dawned on us that we should try to not only use our own ingredients. I think the secret ingredient to our kombucha might actually be our well water.
Ooh.
So, right.
And that's unexplored territory in our industry. We haven't really done a deeper dive on the water. I'm starting to get a little more knowledge and science around it. But yes, I think minerals in the water definitely creates a wonderful flavor.
Yeah. And ours, one of the things that we've ended up with is it's got a kind of subtlety to it, where we went down a less not more road, right? You and I have talked about this before, where it dawned on me where I was like, oh, wait a second. If you do a blind taste test with sort of similar-ish kombuchas, it's a pretty hard thing to guess sometimes, right? If it's not a ginger or something.
Right.
And then, but if you tell someone, oh no, it's blackberry, and they taste it, they'll be like, oh, I can taste that. So I realized that there's sort of a range between what is obvious to you if you know it, but not obvious to you if you don't know it. So I was like, we should go try to figure out the minimal amount of flavoring we can put in where you can still taste it if you know what it is. So, in answer to your question, we start trying to do seasonal flavorings, right? Most of the good ones are in the summer, but and then we have like anyone who grows mint, we have more than we know what to do with. Joey has an herb spiral outside our kitchen, which the mint just sort of explodes. So we started making mint everything. And we made a mint kombucha, and I was like, why is there not a mint soda?
Right.
Right. And not that I want one, because I have mint kombucha, but elderberry mint. So we started growing our own elderberries. Elderberry mint is just the bomb. So it's my sort of long running go-to. She did jalapeno mint last year. At Christmas a couple years ago, she did a lavender clove, which was delicious.
Ooh, yum.
But mint anything. We have we're growing a bunch of blackberries now, so blackberry mint. So nothing too crazy. But that's at least in part because I drink a lot. So the sort of less ingredient wise, they tend to be more my favorites because I can drink a gallon in a day. In terms of commercial, I sort of cycled through them all at first, like GT's, Brew Doctor, Health Aid, Kavita, and then moved up here and found Adam Benziger's Laughing Gut. I would say that if I had just one I could take, it would probably be his green tea kombucha. It's kind of his mother flavor, and it's in the same sort of vein as what I was talking about. There's not a lot there, right? It's just tasty. So he subscribes to a similar philosophy. There's some kombuchas that I think ultimately put too much of whatever it is into it. Adams, he's going the other direction too, and he has most of his, like, he'll sell it on tap at his tap room in Poughkeepsie, but his cans are like the Red Bull size can, and like a cold green tea Laughing Gut on a hot summer day. They're amazing.
Yum. Well, and you're hitting on something that I think we're going to continue to see as the category matures, which is like wine, where, the grapes and the terroir of the grapes is what contributes to a lot of the flavor profile in the kombucha. And so, to your point, less is more with kombucha, and being able to taste the fermented tea flavor, I think, is really special. And I know there's a couple different brands that are already doing that. I think United Ferments, maybe, and it also based in New York. They have wine bottle size, but I think that's what we're going to continue to see. And so there is something about being beautiful and elegant with the fermentation. Of course, I'm a proud Kombucha Mamma because he's used some of our culture in the past.
Right, exactly.
As have many brands. And so I'm always grateful to hear about businesses that are successful with our culture, because it just makes me so happy. It means a lot of other people are getting some Kombucha Mamma love. Well, gosh, Duff, you've sure been generous with your time today. I know I've held you here a little bit longer than typical, but I so appreciate your views on kombucha. It's been such a joy to hear your perspective. Any last words to our followers out there on World Kombucha Day?
So after Kombucha Curious came out on Audible, I experienced something which you have, I'm sure, experienced countless times. I was directly responsible for 3, maybe 4 people who decided after listening to me talk about it that they were going to start making it immediately.
Yay!
And 2 were friends of mine, or to all 3 are friends of mine, and all of them are loving it. And before that story came out, I had tried to persuade, a handful of people. I'm not running around trying to force anything on anyone, but people who love kombucha, I'd always say, you got to start making it because of, all the reasons we talked about before. Number one is just for any normal person, it's the economics go inverted, right? You end up with an almost free kombucha ultimately, right? It's how much does a teaspoon of ginger cost, right, to put in a bottle? So I may be preaching to the choir here because it's World Kombucha Day, but for anyone who's ever thought about making it, just do it.
Yes.
Right? It's your upfront costs, whether you buy a kit from Hannah or assemble your own, it's only going to run you 100-ish, right? I don't know.
Right.
maybe that's high, but it's not a crazy startup cost. And before you know it, you will not only have cheap variety always available, but you will have invited into your home a craft and a running project that if it's like you and I have had very similar experiences, which is once you go from a consumer of it in the store to saying, you know what, I'm going to take this up a notch here. It will change everything. And, in addition to just making it cheaper for you to drink kombucha, which is reason enough in itself, but from there onwards, it'll change your entire life. And it's so, as I said in Kombucha Curious, I was like, could there be an easier hobby? You brew your tea and put it in your vat, right, with your SCOBY, and then you wait.
It's
and
so
then
easy.
you bottle it, and then you wait. And then you put it in the fridge, and then you wait. So the majority of the task of kombucha making is simply waiting for it to be ready. The actual stuff you need to do in total, is barely an hour's worth of time
If that.
for whatever you need. And the next thing you know, you'll basically be peaking, you'll get a glimpse of the infinite. And from there, there's no coming back.
That's right. And what you're saying is so true. And this is also why it's valid to pay a little bit more for a commercial product, right? Because I think people are like, well, how come it doesn't cost the same as soda? It's because what you're talking about, there's so much time and patience and care. I mean, again, we're dealing with a living organism as opposed to here's a syrup, here's a bubbly water, done, right?
It's not a dead drink, right?
Right, exactly. It's not a dead drink. It's alive. And so this is why, because not everybody's going to make the kombucha, right? I am, you are. Not everybody is, but there's a valid argument for why you should go to the store and buy it, even though it costs a bit more.
Step one is start drinking
exactly
kombucha.
Right. Start drinking
if you don't like it is one of those things where there's going to be some people who are like, no, not for me. My ex-wife doesn't like it. My daughter and her stepfather, they'll take as much as I can give to them. So yes, agreed. I recommend commercial store-bought kombucha to anyone who has a curiosity about what it could be, what its health benefits could be, and all of the above. My point I was making was, if you're the person who likes it and you've ever thought maybe I could make it, do it. It's the easiest thing you can ever do, and the benefits are endless.
I feel like we should make a poster that goes, Duff says, just do it.
Right? And then we'll get a call from Nike, and then,
just brew it. That's it.
Just brew it. Oh my God. See? We're going to give that one to you. That one's yours.
Yeah, but it's just be Duff says, just brew it.
Yeah, it's the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing.
It really is. Well, always a pleasure to hang out with you, Duff. Thank you so much for all you do to interweave all this philosophy with the kombucha. It's so lovely. Thank you so much. And I love celebrating World Kombucha Day with you. We'll do it again.
Thank you, Hannah. Great to know you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Woo! World Kombucha Day. 2 interviews done. We already aired a couple. We're about to air some more. We'll be back here live. I'm going to put all of the links in the Instagram profile in the link tree. So if you are wanting to watch more of this, we'll be posting some videos next, and then we'll be live again at 10:30. So in 30 minutes, we're going live with Jordi from Moon Kombucha. We're so excited to have him. He's one of the largest brands based in Spain. Y vamos a hablar español. Entonces estoy muy feliz. So regresa y vamos a discutir la kombucha en España. Mucho gusto verles. Hasta pronto.